On this episode of Vendor Voices, we have Ross with Rock With You Entertainment. And gosh, Ross, how long have we known each other?
100 years.
About that.
20 years.
About
20 years, right?
So, yeah, probably about 20 years.
I'd say so, like early 2000s, I think.
Yeah. From a distance from us, you have taken like what it is to be a DJ to an entertainer to something that is far beyond that. And you know, I want to tip my hat to you because for me, you have elevated what the standard of entertainment is, and it's in one of the biggest probably wedding markets in the entire country.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. You know, it really happened. Like we all come from getting experience at another company at one time in our lives, right? Like I know for you, your experience came with your own company right now. That's rare. Not a lot happens, right? So my business partner Slim and I used to work for another company, and we kind of learned the ways. And just from the very beginning, we always thought that there was like this space that was untapped. It was like you either are a wedding DJ, a mitzvah DJ, a corporate DJ, like you're here. And at that time, people kind of looked down on that. There's just a lot of like cheese and corny words that just are involved with doing those type of events, right? And then you have like your concerts and your festivals and your clubs, and you have all that stuff. And then there's this whole middle space, right? Where it's like, wait, why can't some of these people over here doing like the cool clubs and the festivals meet in the middle and elevate the wedding industry or the private event industry? And then you find guys with no egos that can go rock for, at Club Live on a Friday night and then come rock a wedding on a Saturday night just as hard. And like, that's like where Slim and I were like, there's a space here. We can do something cool by all the stuff we've learned from those type of events. Like, let's drop that into the wedding world.
There was at a point where if you were on a budget, you hired a DJ.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, right?
That was it. That was the budget move.
It was a budget move. Where are you going to cut? Okay, we're going to get from the 10-piece band and we're going to go to a DJ. And what's amazing to me is I have seen, and again, I haven't seen it in pretty much anyone down here.
Yeah.
Where you have taken the DJ, right?
Yeah.
And removed that like aura around it.
Yeah.
And like I see you guys at like the most exclusive venues in the entire country, right? Doing some of the biggest events where budget isn't a concern, and they have you because you're the best for the job.
Yeah.
Not because they're trying to save $1 or $2.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, it took a long time to get to that, right? Like just like anything. But I mean, I remember Slim and I were at what's that place in downtown Fort Lauderdale, like Backyard?
America's Backyard.
America's Backyard. So in, I guess, Revolution, right next door, they had a Sublime cover band called Bad Fish. And this is like 2006, 2007, 2008, somewhere there. And so they had a Sublime cover band, Bad Fish, and they had a DJ opener. And then in Sublime, they had horns and percussion for that band. Well, when they did the transition, they decided just to jam out with the DJ. And so I was seeing a DJ, a percussionist, and a couple of horns like just jam out. And Slim and I just looked at each other and were like, we got to do something with this. This whole like DJ hybrid thing is freaking sick. Back in the day, Fusion, our DJ band blend back in the day, it was really like DJ with musicians. Right. It wasn't a tight band. We were really working through things to like see what worked and what didn't work. And it took a lot of years to kind of like really understand who we are. How do we become a tight band versus just a DJ with musicians?
Right.
And to this day, I think that's our special ingredient, that if you see us perform versus another hybrid band, it's just night and day. That is a tight band from the music we do, the custom proprietary edits that we've made right here in the studio, that other people can't get. How do we sit people down? How do we get people up? How do we keep them up? How do we do halftime shows? How do we do closers? How do we do encores? How do we open a room? How do we do pre-intros before the bride and groom intro? It's all of those in-between things that everyone else hasn't figured out.
You know, you mentioned that you got started in the business. So give me just a little bit more about, from there to here.
Yeah, 30,000-foot view. So I just even to go further back here. So I'm born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri. I moved down here to South Florida in 2001. Got into the entertainment business and started off, dancing, and I just really fell in love with the urban culture, right? Like b-boying, breaking, MCing, everything with that. So, throughout the years there in early 2000, I started learning how to MC events. Slim, my business partner, knew how to DJ events. We eventually saw that company wasn't really moving where it could go. So we branched off. I started coaching baseball and basketball at a middle school, trying to figure out what I was going to do. And then I started Rock With You during that time. And I couldn't DJ. I could only MC. So I would hit up Slim and say, hey, I'm going to start this company and we'll figure out what we call it. But you DJ, you got 2 speakers and a microphone and some DJ gear. So you go do your thing. I'll go guerrilla market. I'll go door to door. And I'll hit you up when I book a job. And so I would do that. Hey, got us a gig. Hey, we got another one. Hey, we got another one. And then that kind of kept going. And then we double booked ourselves. And I'm like, well, I better learn how to DJ. I have 6 months to figure this out.
Yeah.
And then that's how we became a single op to a multi-op, by purposely double booking ourselves, really just kind of selling the dream to the client, right? Sell the sizzle, not the steak kind of thing. And then eventually it just kind of kept going from there. So really in 2010 is when we moved into this office. We shared it with another company, but at the time it was just me and him in one office upstairs, paying $500 rent. And then we just kind of kept growing and growing. Eventually hired a person. To fast forward to today, we have like 20 full-time staff members, trying to keep up with you guys. You guys have like 4,000 full-time.
No, we're not, like, we're about 25.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And more isn't always better, I've learned. You know what I mean? But it as an entrepreneur, it feels so good creating opportunity for other people and giving them a really good culture and community to work in.
100%. And like for me, like I've gravitated towards, like, I like to teach. I like to lift up the team. I like to see the work the other guys create. It is. Best. It's way better. It's way better than doing it yourself. It really is. What I found is the success isn't in having an idea. The success is in the passion you have behind it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so true.
That's it.
That's it, man.
A bad idea with good passion will work.
The rest will come. Yeah, 100%. I'm so glad about the patent too. Like we were talking about Fusion and like Fusion, our band hybrid, DJ band hybrid is like what really has become the staple of who we are. And years ago, we saw what we were doing and how it was special and how it was different than what anybody else was doing. So we actually patented as well. We have a trademark patent for, I think we're like 10 years into having Fusion, a DJ band hybrid trademark. So you're going to see a lot of funny pop-ups of their own version of Fusion, and they can call it Fusion. And when they do that, we send them nice letters. It's quite interesting when they get letters in the mail saying you can't do that, which you'll get to that point when you see someone else. You're like,
see you desist.
You can't do that. You know what I mean? You can have other DJ band hybrids, but you just can't call it Fusion.
Right.
And it's hilarious that to this day, people know that. And they, how like they'll go to a search engine and they just like, just Google something. Like it becomes like, that's the word. And that if people think about DJ band hybrids, they just say, a Fusion, Fusion, right? Well, we have that trademark. So you can't say that, guys. Like we start billing people like Paris Hilton did by saying that's hot.
Advice to planners. Yeah. Not just planners, just say like event coordinators or people that are in charge of making sure that the event, as far as the evening goes.
Yeah.
What advice could you give them so that they can help create the best entertainment experience for their clients?
Good question. Loaded question. There's a lot of different things.
I know.
But I think when it comes to entertainment, right? Just entertainment specifically. I know there's so much, there's important aspects to what everybody does, but from the entertainment side, to create the best entertainment experience is you have to set the band up for success from the very beginning. For example, you have to have an appropriate sound check time, arrival time. You have to have band meals available at a normal time. You have to have just a green room. It could be a closet. It doesn't matter. Most bands, we don't really care. We just need a specific room to be at. And a lot of higher ups, planners, or venues are very good at it. And sadly, the majority, even in high-end luxury events, there's still a lot that are just, it's like their first wedding ever. They have no idea what to do. What do you mean a green room? What do you mean you want sound check at this time? What, food before they, like, I don't understand.
I don't think, you're not dropping a plate on the table for someone, right?
Yeah.
Like, for you guys
Yeah.
to do what you do well, you have to tap into a different part of you.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And when you are expressing yourself creatively, right, how you take care of yourself throughout that process has a huge effect on the outcome of what you're able to do and perform.
Bingo,
right?
bango.
And I don't think that people like that venues or other vendors recognize it, because they look at, like, you're changing a tire, right? You can have a song performed one way by the same artist and performed another way, and just based, I believe, on the experience around that, you're going to have a different vibe.
Yes. I'll as an example, I'll relate it to like remodeling a house and you're dealing with a general contractor. Like, a general contractor is kind of like an event planner. They bring in an electrician and a plumber and stuff. And I don't expect them to necessarily know how to perform the song, but if you're at the top, you better know exactly what's involved with plumbing, everything that's involved with electric, everything that's involved with hurricane windows, everything that's involved with drywall. You better know all of that stuff, because as you piece it together, you're like, for this to work, this has to work. For that to work, this has got to work. And I feel like there's a lot of planners that, or just whoever is in charge, has a very top surface level idea of what you do and what you need for the best shots, what we do, what we need for the best performance of that. And listen, one key ingredient to our success at Rock With You is that we're very, very artist forward thinking, meaning, for us, it is taking care of our people first, clients second. It's 1A, 1B, right? They're very equal. But I see so many other companies that it's whatever the client wants, we do. Well, whatever the client wants might not necessarily be the best thing
For them
and for the party. And clients, honestly, enjoy it when you raise your hand and you say, hey, I see what you're saying, but we shouldn't do that. Here's another idea. Right. Don't just say no. Give them, we can't do that, but here's an idea. Give another option. They like that.
I give people advice as if they were a family member of mine getting married.
1,000%. Right. And which makes you genuine and makes you not salesy and makes you, it's not about the money.
Right.
You're telling them, all right, you want the best freaking pictures? Okay, let's talk. Let's go through our discovery. Let's find out everything that's going on. Okay, cool. I like that idea. Cool. Don't like that idea. No, don't do that. But I got this idea for you.
Right. Exactly. What is the most pissed off you've ever been at a job?
I'll go with a recent situation. I was on an out of town event, and if I was to say names, I don't even remember her name. Honest with you, but when we were talking about like setting up the band for success from sound check and arrival and green room and all that type of stuff, another thing, like before we ever introduce a CEO of a company, a bride and groom from the back of the room, you can't, we're obviously rocking the crowd, they're dancing. And so when we get the thumbs up that they're ready for intro, you can't just cut the song cold turkey and just go right into it. You have to let it breathe where you were. You might be in the middle of a verse. You might be in the middle of a hook. You're not prepared to just cut it, right? So you need about a minute to 2 minutes of buffer to make your way there with that music, so it's not a roller coaster ride. It's a nice, smooth experience that you're taking this guest on. Then you introduce them. And so probably the most pissed I'm at is like when you work with people and they don't understand that right there.
Right.
They don't understand that there's a reason to your method there. And so where they're just like, shut it off now, shut it off, introduce them. Like, I'm bringing them in about 40 seconds.
Right.
We're not talking 10 minutes. Like, give me about 40 seconds and the hook will be over. And now we can smoothly bring this in and I can keep the guest in the palm of my hand. Because if I screw that part up and make that choppy, the guest, they can't quite pinpoint it, but they feel something was wrong. And now you're kind of screwed the rest of the night. And now you become just the rest of them.
What other, let's say, services or add-ons or things that people can add, right, to their event, that goes just beyond the sound?
Right. Listen, so we started, so many people have known us for Rock With You Entertainment. And throughout the years, you probably have a lot of stories like this too, but people probably asking you to do video, right? Where it's like, oh man, I'd rather just deal with one person to do photo and video. Or, I just wish Rock With You did the production more than just audio and basic lighting. We wish you did bigger lighting and screens and staging. So throughout the years, we started just kind of chipping away. So to kind of answer your question is, a few years back, we started Rock With You Productions, whole separate arm, because it goes hand in hand with what we do. I don't want to step on other toes of other vendors. But when it comes to production, that part makes sense.
It definitely does.
Because if you're at a concert and you're watching Calvin Harris isn't bringing in some other production company that's winging it on that Saturday. No, there's lighting cues, there's video cues, there's stage rise and down, and there's effects on certain parts. And when all of that goes together, that's what makes this experience of like, oh my God, that show that Rock With You put on, I've just never been a part of something like that. And so we got so tired of like showing up to events and we would have a rinky-dink production company because a client was balling on a budget and they brought in other lighting or other screens. And then like the timing was off and people thought that it just like the show could have been so much more. You know what I'm saying? So to ultimately answer your question, like what's hot right now, like if you want to talk about like new trends there's hasn't been a whole lot to like reinvent the wheel year after year. But one of the newest things is really like the LED walls are like Lego pieces and you can like break it down and create like video decor. So instead of having like a grass wall behind the band that's a one-trick pony, you can now do a video wall. You could break it into different shapes and sizes.
That's pretty cool.
And you throw like floral patterns on it. You throw on light patterns. You throw on monograms. You throw on effects, music videos. It's not a one-trick pony. You can now, during dinner, if it's a classy Rat Pack feel, you can just have these beautiful white floral treatments on it. And it's like slowly moving, So it's just like, I think like with technology and AI and screens are just, you'll see them more and more at weddings where you used to never see them.
What can the venue do to help increase the overall client experience?
Yeah.
Not just on their food and beverage, but the entire experience.
So we both work at the Breakers a lot, right?
Yep.
Sasha, so awesome. She hit Slim and I up this summer. Slower time, hits us up, comes in, just wants to chat, right? And we're like, what's up? And she's like, I just want to chat about your guys' show, what you have on the table, what's going on for this year. What can we do to set you guys up for success? I was like, that is the greatest thing ever. A venue came out, brought in one of their partners, and it's like, what can we do to set you up for success? And we talked about lighting. We talked about lack thereof. We talked about too big, too much of it, and less is more. We talked about sound check time. We talked about like my biggest thing that I love talking to her about, as well as everybody, is speaker placement. All these big designs get these floor plans get designed, and they're spending hundreds of thousands, if not millions, on the decor packages. And they have this elaborate stage. And one thing that you won't see in there is the placement of speakers. So when we show up to an event and we have to place our speakers, we're usually blocking something that they built.
Right.
And so the decor people or the planner will say the speakers can't go there. Okay, well, the dance floor is here. People have to not hear the music, they have to feel it. And that's the biggest disconnect. Most people are like, oh, if the speakers are way back in the corner, we still hear it fine. No. You might hear it, you don't feel it. And we're a product.
You know what? I didn't really. Now that you say it, like I'm at an event and I feel you feel the music. Yeah, you do.
And that's how you get people to move. And that's how we showcase our band the best. And that's how client or guests who are our future clients call for their weddings,
right?
For their events. If you don't feel that, we become like an also ran. It's just, oh, it was good. It was good. It was a good wedding.
All right.
What's the
solution?
The solution is, it's very simple. When whoever's designing the stage plot, the floor plan, think about the band's needs. Very simple. It's usually a left and a right stack. Left and right of the speaker, or left and right of the stage, is usually the closest to the dance floor for everybody to feel it the most. 99.99999% of weddings from the day weddings were started or events were started, that's where they go. And still to this day in 2024, people forget that right there. So the solution is whoever is designing this should call their entertainment and say, hey, what do you have coming? What system do you have coming? Will you be rigging from the ceiling? Will you be ground supported? If you are ground supported, where is the ideal location for your speaker stacks to be? Okay, that's there. You can't move that. Let's build the rest of the room around that. They do it backwards. They build the room, and then they try to find place for that, and it never works. So therefore, they push it elsewhere. And then we walk into gigs as a band like, all right, I'm so jacked up. We're going to rock this. And we walk in, we see the room. And the second I look at that speaker placement, I'm like, this party's going to suck. This is going to suck. It's going to be miserable to perform for the next 4 hours.
What is the importance of sound check?
So sound check is an allocated time for that lasts about 30 minutes or so, where you can like really just ring everything out.
Well, what is like
make sure everything's working?
What is it that when you do a sound check, what are you checking?
We are checking, making sure all cables work. Cables come, go, unplug, plugged in, unplug, back to the warehouse, over, not twisted the right way. So it worked on the way to one gig, and then now the next day they don't work anymore because one of the technicians might have twisted it wrong. So now all of a sudden that XLR doesn't work anymore. So we're checking cables, we're checking speakers, we're checking the highs, the mids, the lows to make sure every little part of the speaker sounds right. Because if it doesn't, the band's going to sound like crap. So during sound check, we are going to blast the music. We're going to throw in crazy white noise and very annoying noise.
So wait, so you're telling me people shouldn't freak out if before they come in the room, it gets really loud?
Correct. If it's sound check, just know, no matter who the band is, everybody has their own way of doing it. But the common thread is everybody is tweaking out the speakers and cables, equipments, microphones, and making sure everything works. And the only way to do that is to get very loud and obnoxious with the sound check. So if you're in the room and you see this happening, just know there's a purpose to it.
Okay.
You have to do it.
So this poses another thing, right? So what do you do in a venue where ceremony's here?
Yeah.
Reception's here?
Correct. So what a good question. We do what is called line checks. We will do a silent sound check where we're testing the lines on everything. And then when the room actually opens up and all the guests are coming in, we are now doing a live sound check. And so things could go wrong as guests come in, and that gets a little scary.
So what's the solution?
So a solution to that is the band arrives much earlier and we do a proper sound check before guests even show up for ceremony. But to do that is I need our band and technicians to all now add extra time to their contract. So if we bring them in at the proper time to do it, unfortunately, time is money, money's time. It's going to cost a few extra bucks. And clients usually don't want to spend that. Planners don't want to convince their clients to spend that. So we tend to say, hey, don't worry about it. We'll just do a line check and everything will be fine. But we know it's an uphill battle because they don't want to spend an extra $500 to $1,000 to have the crew there earlier. They want to save that money. And that's when it gets, now we're all rushing. And now the room opens up and, oh my God, the kick drum isn't working. Like it's not bumping the way it should bump. So now we say, you know what, just deal with it. The average person has no idea. Just deal with it. And then when the band does their first break, let's dim the lights and let's go switch it out.
Well, buddy, I want to thank you so much.
Yeah, man, this is awesome. This is great. Let's do it again. I had a blast with that. I know we can go down a rabbit hole because we're so passionate about what we do.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to walk off this conversation of going, I wish we would have chatted about this, but that's why we got to do it again.
Yes. Amen, brother.
Love you, man.
Love you too.
Thanks, bro. All right.
All right. Well, thank you for being with us on this episode of Vendor Voices, and we look forward to seeing you at the next one.